Staff, would you please confirm the following, that in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, a copy of the agenda was sent to the news media, persons requesting notification, and posted on the bulletin board located in the County Administration Building?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, the Planning Commission makes recommendations to County Council as to whether to approve or deny zoning map amendments. County Council will conduct its own public hearing and take official votes to approve or deny these map amendment requests on a future date to be published by the county. Council typically holds zoning public hearings on the fourth Tuesday of the month. Please check the county's website for updated agendas, dates, and times. And please take note of the following guidelines for today's meeting. Please turn off or silence any cell phones or pagers. Audience members may quietly come and go as needed. Applicants are allowed up to 2 minutes to make statements. Citizens signed up to speak are allowed up to 2 minutes each, and redundant comments should be minimized. Only address remarks to the Commission. Do not expect the Commission to respond to questions from the speakers in a back and forth style. That is not the purpose of this meeting. And please, no audience and speaker exchanges. No audience demonstrations or other disruptions to the meeting are permitted, nor are comments from anyone other than the speaker at the podium. Please remember that the meeting is being recorded. Please speak into the microphones and give your name and address. Abusive language is inappropriate, will not be tolerated. Please don't voice displeasure or frustration at a recommendation, as the Planning Commission is still conducting business. If you have any questions or concerns, you may contact the Richland County Planning Department staff. Now to agenda item 3. Staff provided the Commission with copies of the transcripts of the Commission's September 2021 and December 2021 meetings. Does staff have any comments as to those transcripts? No. Okay. So only those members present for each meeting should vote on a motion to approve the transcripts as the minutes for those meetings. Because attendance was different at each meeting, we will conduct separate votes to approve the minutes. And the chair will entertain a motion to approve the September 2021 minutes as provided by staff.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved and seconded. Staff, would you conduct the vote?
All right. Jason Branham?
Aye.
Gary Dennis?
Have to abstain. I was not present at that meeting.
Christopher Yonke?
Aye.
Maditara Carlisle?
Aye.
Beverly Firestone?
Aye.
John Metz?
Aye.
Brian Grady?
Aye.
Terrence Taylor?
Aye.
Stephen Gilchrist?
Aye.
All right, that vote passed 8-0.
Now the chair will entertain a motion to approve the December 2021 minutes as provided by staff.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved and seconded. Staff, would you conduct the vote?
Jason Branham?
Aye.
Gary Dennis?
Aye.
Christopher Yonke?
Aye.
Maditara Carlisle?
Aye.
Beverly Firestone?
I abstain. I was absent.
John Metz?
Abstain. I was absent.
Brian Grady?
Aye.
Terrence Taylor?
Aye.
Stephen Gilchrist?
Aye.
All right, that vote passed 7-0.
All right, on to item 4 of the agenda. Are there any motions for additions to or deletions from the agenda?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you recognize. Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At our last meeting, we had a discussion regarding the staff receiving legal advice for a business matter of the commission regarding our elections. based upon the commission agreeing to amend our rules at several meetings prior, and so I wanted to just make sure that as we go through the agenda today, that we have some spot here to make sure that we don't run out of time to address that with our staff today.
Do that. We could do that under the planning director's report.
Okay.
On item 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Also, Mr. Chair, I have information for the commission. At our last meeting, I indicated that I would be getting in touch with county council to express my concerns with reference to the matter that Mr. Gilchrist just mentioned. I want to inform the commission that I did indeed do that, and I have received a response indicating that county council takes my concerns quite seriously, and they will be looked into with reference to what I mentioned to them. And I believe the message included that the county attorney and the county administrator would be involved in the inquiry.
Okay, thank you. We can discuss that further if need be under item 7. Let's see. Now to item 5. The chair notes that individuals are signed up to speak on case number 22-001MA. As such, the chair will entertain a motion to amend the agenda so that this case is removed from the consent agenda and the commission will hear public input on it today.
Chair, I make a motion.
Is there a second, Mr. Chairman?
Moved and seconded that we remove case 22-001MA from the consent agenda so that there is a discussion of public input today. Staff, would you conduct the vote, please?
Jason Branham.
Aye.
Gary Dennis.
Aye.
Christopher Yonke.
Aye.
Metatower Carlisle.
Aye.
Beverly Frierson.
Aye.
John Metz.
Aye.
Brian Grady.
Aye.
Terrence Taylor.
Aye.
Stephen Gilchrist.
Aye.
All right. Vote passed.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, so just a few preliminary comments from me that are mostly directed to the public, and then we'll have some brief comments from staff, and then we will have public input. So last year, staff presented a proposed full replacement of the Land Development Code. After review by this commission and some modifications to the draft along the way, County Council voted to adopt the new replacement code. Included in the new Land Development Code is a new set of zoning districts. Every parcel of land in the county that is not inside a city or town has a zoning designation assigned by the county. With the adoption of this new code, each parcel must be assigned a new zoning designation. County staff prepared a draft map. The draft map is now available for public viewing via the county's website. Numerous informational meetings throughout the county have also been conducted by county staff. Every application to amend the zoning map comes to the Planning Commission for review. I believe it's fair to say the primary purpose of today's meeting is to receive public input on this draft of the zoning map. Today, we will hear public comment up to 5:30 p.m. if need be. We also expect to allow a block of time for public input at our next meeting, which is currently set for April 4th. The Commission will not vote today on the proposed zoning map. We do anticipate voting on April 4th. In this process, the Commission serves as a recommending body to County Council. We will vote to make one or more recommendations to Council. Council will then perform its own independent review of the draft zoning map. Council will provide an opportunity for public input at one of their meetings prior to voting on it. Council's vote is the official binding vote as to whether the draft zoning map is adopted. The draft map is subject to change during the process prior to being adopted by Council. Council are your elected officials, and you can always reach out to them throughout the process and beyond. Because the primary purpose of today's meeting is to receive public comment, comments and questions from the Commission are expected to be minimal. After today's meeting, the Commission will continue to review this proposal. The Commission is likely to conduct a work session before the April 4th meeting. If we do, public notice will be provided. There will be no time provided for public comment at a work session. Rather, a work session is for the Commissioners to ask questions to staff and to have some discussion amongst themselves, which again is open to the public. The public are welcome to attend a work session if we have one. We do expect that the Commission will engage in discussion, debate, and questions to staff prior to voting on a recommendation April 4th. If you do not feel that you need to speak to the Commission, but are simply seeking information about how the draft zoning map would impact your property or those immediately around your property, members of the Planning Department staff are available to speak with you right now, downstairs. They may even be just right outside the doors in the hallway. If they're not in the hallway, you just go down the stairs to the first floor after passing through the hallway past security. There's a counter down there for the Planning Department. So thank you for your patience. I hope that was informational, helpful to you. And now we'll have a brief presentation from staff, and then we'll pick up with the public input.
Mr. Chair, no necessarily presentation. Did want to make some comment prior to opening to the public. So as you mentioned,
Mr. Crooks, Mr. Chairman, I don't think we can hear. I can't.
Is better?
Does the microphone look like it's on?
Yeah, it's on. Let's see. Better? Mr. Gilchrist, can you hear me now?
I can hear you a little better, yeah.
Try to scoot a little bit closer to the mic. So no presentation, just wanted to make some comments as it relates to the process as it pertains to the zoning map today, and then, as you mentioned, the change in anticipated schedule as it relates to moving forward. So, as you said, this is a draft map, so this is basically staff's recommendation, and then as we relate to the various public input that we're receiving today, as well as the input that we have been receiving over the last month and a half, we'll be going back and reevaluating staff's recommendation, which will be our final recommendation, which will be presented to you all at that April 4th meeting, and then ultimately County Council at their April 26th zoning public hearing meeting. And so that's not to say that everything that we hear today or everything that we have been hearing that would change staff's recommendation. We'll be, again, reevaluating concerns that we've been hearing as it relates to ultimately the principles that we're still using and maybe what might be a better fit as it relates to the zoning district itself versus what was previously recommended. So that's not to say that everything will change, but we could see some modifications as it relates to staff's recommendation based on the feedback that we have been receiving. And a lot of that will also be feedback that we hear from today as well, and then subsequent feedback that we're going to hear over the next couple of weeks, where we are looking to schedule additional community meetings over the next several weeks. We don't have those finalized yet. We were hoping to have them today, but we have not gotten confirmation on those yet. But we'll be having those throughout the county again. Not going to be as many as we had previously, but we'll be still trying to get a wide variety of areas for those meetings. So again, is a draft map subject to change, and staff will be making to do a reevaluation of that over the next several weeks. And so prior to the April 4th meeting, we'll be looking to have basically staff's final recommendation as it relates to the draft map for y'all's action, and then ultimately County Council's action at that zoning public hearing on the 26th. So, thank you.
Thank you. Could you provide the email address where the public could submit any written submissions they want to?
Yeah, so anybody who, one, has questions or is looking to submit comments or just find out some more information, so there's a couple of different ways that they can do that. One is by calling planning staff, and planning staff can be reached at 803-576-2190. That's the main planning line. If staff is unavailable, we just ask folks to leave a voicemail, and we're trying to get to those as soon as we can. They can also email staff with questions at landdevelopmentcode at richlandcountysc.gov. That's going to be the main email that folks will see also on the bottom of the notice that they received. And that's going to be the best email to ask questions of staff, find out more information, those two ways. They can also come to the counter. Those that are wanting to submit written comments, whether that's to the commission or to staff or whoever, they can do so at that land development code email or planningcommission@richlandcountysc.gov. So that would be the Planning Commission email specifically. So those wanting to submit comments to you all, that would be the best email to do so there.
Okay. As you indicated, you'll be making notes today of the comments that are made during the meeting. Anything else from staff or the commission before we open to public input? All right. Mr. Vice Chair, if you would call the first name of the person signed up, and this reminder to each speaker, please state your name and address before you begin your comment, and then you have 2 minutes. Staff will be keeping time, and we're going to try to keep that as close as we can to get everybody an opportunity to speak that wants to today. Thank you.
First speaker would be Bob Newbern from Eastover.
Yes. Mr. Chair and members, my name is Bob Nurbin. I live at 209 Hillside Circle, Eastover, South Carolina. I live in the Lake Dogwood region that is supported by County Council's ability to give us a zoning area to raise taxes to replace Lake Dogwood, the dam at Lake Dogwood. When those of us who were in a homeowners property association bought our land, we signed documents that said that we would agree to the covenants that were there. So on the one hand, I'm open to an R1, which means that stick houses only could be built in that area. That's in agreement with the covenants that are there. It's my understanding that Richland County does not look at those covenants and does not enforce those covenants. And so now we have a mobile home that's moving in, which is going to reduce the property values of the homes that are already there. And we've already agreed to that, but the council does not do that. So on the one hand, I'm receptive to R1, but I have agricultural land because I have over 6 acres. And so I like to have a garden and so forth or whatever. Now, whether it's true or not that R3 would do what I'm asking, which means that the covenants be preserved, that there are no mobile homes in the area, but that you can have a garden, that you can have a small agricultural thing. I have trees, I have fish growing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm ambivalent about this. I really don't know the rules and so forth or whatever, but like I say again, I'm receptive to R1, but if it means that I can't have a garden, I'm against it. But I wish that the county would enforce what we already have agreed to in a homeowners of property association, which is in the area that raises taxes to rebuild the dam that would prevent mobile homes from moving in. Because we have signed the agreement. So I don't know how we have that mobile home that's going up. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Richard Best from Ballantyne.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I was just going to mention that both podiums mics are available, so depending on which one is closest, either podium will work.
To put everything together, I'm Richard Best. I've been in the real estate business for 50 years. I have a degree from University of South Carolina in marketing and finance and management.
Give your address, please.
What's that?
Would you give your address, please?
Ballantyne, South Carolina is where I'm building right now on Marina Road.
Do you have a business address?
Oh, the business
For
address
contact?
is West Columbia, 1710 Sunset Boulevard.
Okay, thank you.
We've been in business about 40 years. I will call it a blanket rezoning is going to create tremendous problems in the area of Marina Road and Ballantyne. Right now in that area, there is a tremendous traffic problem coming out from Marina Road, which there are no lights, never will be, because there's a light half a block away, that is for the school, so it'll never be moved. And we look at that as a major problem. Also, the blanket rezoning changes the whole structure of the neighborhood. And the end of Marina Road is an old subdivision that is really probably even has some historic houses in it. One of these historic houses could be torn down and a duplex, triplex, or since the zoning is increased, could be built and disrupt the neighborhood. And that there are areas within a block of there that there are 3 or 4 acres, and they could be in turn turned into apartments and different things like that very easily. What we feel like is the best is to keep the zoning that we have now, and then when somebody has 3 or 4 acres, they want to rezone it, then have a hearing on that, but not all of a sudden blanket theirs where they've got high intensity zoning. In addition, as I mentioned, Marina Road is one way in and out, and that creates a problem for emergency use and everything else. Right now, there's a good bit of heavy traffic on Marina Road from the marina, which has some apartments there, which, you know, that was a fine area. There wasn't any problem there. We're also worried about the pollution because there's going to be more homes built on this lake now since all this zoning is increased, and you're going to have more runoff from these properties. You're going to have more problems. The boat traffic is going to go up tremendously in this little area. It's already heavy boat traffic, and it's going to be a lot heavier.
Thank you, sir.
Can I just finish one last thing?
Please wrap it right up.
Okay. There's a private water system in the area. They're going to be run out of business because they can't handle it. The septic tank, the sewer system, it has to be pumped in, and that's going to be a problem. The infrastructure on that coming in. And then in addition, the last thing I'll mention is the policing of these boats that now are not going to be allowed in people's front yard because they can't get it into the backyard is going to be a problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
Brenda from Blythewood in Reimer Pond.
Hi, my name is Brenda W. Timmy, and I live on 178 Reimer Pond Road. I live on 8 acres of land there, and I am opposed to the new zoning, and these are some of my reasons why. I've lived at this address for 11 years. For the most part, this area has remained rural, and people farm and hold livestock. These activities will be prohibited or permitted, but subject to special requirements under the new zoning. What are these special requirements, and do the people who are setting these new requirements, do they farm? As per your own definition, my acreage fits the HM category. I spend over $5,000 each year on repairing and maintaining my tractor, for fertilizer, for seeders, for seeds, over $500 alone for deer fencing to keep the deer out of my garden, for farm implements, and for irrigation in my garden. Too many housing developments have already been added to this rural community, and with that, more criminal activity. We have young people going through vehicles everywhere, every night, searching for things to steal in people's cars. My house was broken into and everything I worked for stolen. The traffic is so bad at certain times of the day, I can't even get out of my driveway. The impact of all this extra traffic is devastating enough for the citizens, but it's equally devastating for the wildlife when the deer run out in front of the traffic and are killed. Some of these people have left the deer to just come onto my property and die. I would look out the window in my yard and I would see 50 buzzards out there taking care of the deer. People are so careless and they don't even bother to stop to see that the animal's suffering or not, or whether it's any. And so there's no place left for these animals to go. And It's very unsettling when you look out and you see all those buzzers out there, and people should, if they accidentally run over something, they need to tend to it or call somebody that will tend to it. I'm 70 years old. I can't tend to it. I'm sorry.
Ma'am. Thank you for your comments. That's your time, okay?
Pardon me?
Thank you very much.
Okay, I got some more.
Ma'am, I need you to go ahead and conclude now so we can be fair to everybody.
Okay, the landscapers from these developments are throwing trash on my property. There's so much litter being thrown out on the road that I have to clean up the yard before I can even mow the grass. And this is not the kind of growth we want to see.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let us use our property as we see fit and let the zoning reflect our individual properties, as no two are alike, so clumping us together as one makes absolutely no sense. Thank you.
Please hold your applause. Please no applause during the meeting.
John Fergus, Senior.
Good afternoon. My concern is the property. My name is John
V.
V.
Your address, please.
Yes, John V. Fergus Senior, P.O. Box 4600, Columbia, South Carolina, 29240. The property that I own is on Clarkson Road in Hopkins, and it's being rezoned from rural to R2, residential. Now, if you will read the RU district, it fits the area perfectly as it is now, with low density housing, low density agriculture. Now it's changing it to R2 residential, and it leaves out low density agriculture. It ceases to amaze me, how do you go in a rural area and take out low density agriculture? There's no county amenities that make it anything other than rural. I mean, there's nothing on Clarkson Road that all the way that says it should be even compatible, say, to be in the city. So I'm kind of concerned about changing a rural district to residential and leave out everything that goes on in the rural area out of the zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Elm Sheckling House.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Pam Selkinghouse. I live at 1944 Marina Road, Irmo, South Carolina, in the Ballantyne area. I am a lifelong resident of the area. I've lived in my home for approximately 20 years. Ballantyne area and Marina Road neighbors have banded together to sign a petition that reads as follows. Petition to protest the proposed Richland County planning and zoning proposal. We, the undersigned residents of Richland County, oppose the rezoning plan for Marina Road and its adjacent streets and roadways in the Ballantyne area of South Carolina. We, the undersigned residents, petition the Richland County Zoning Board to, number one, continue the density as currently zoned and continuance of the single-family designation, and second, to oppose restrictions that prohibit private property use for recreational vehicles, RVs, boats, trailers, and golf carts, etc. We have approximately 500 signatures on our proposal, with over 420 being obtained in only a 6-hour period on this past Saturday, March 5th. I have a copy, a current copy. We are still getting signatures of the petition that I just read to you with the signatures and names, if I can present that to you.
Would you like to leave that with staff, or you can submit it later electronically if you like?
I can give it to you now, but this is an ongoing, we get more signatures.
Yeah, if you could just hand it there to staff. Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
M. Francis Ursel from Irmo, South Carolina.
That's Urkel. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and all the members. of the council, really appreciate your time and being here. I am Frances Ergel. I'm a resident of 1925 Marina Road in Ballantyne area. Third generation. My grandfather was a cellist and immigrated from Germany and was a cellist in New York Symphony, and met Mr. William Murray, who is the engineer who designed the lake, and he met Southern Belle there on holiday, and the rest is history there. Governor Campbell sent me up to Washington, D.C. to work on waters of the U.S. for the state of South Carolina many years ago. I also worked with the White House Council of Environmental Quality, developing model zoning ordinances across the country. I worked with Congress on mapping coastal zone management areas to restrict coastal use and economic development. The plan I see currently, I can't go through, I don't have time. I do request, Mr. Chairman, a little extra time because I have some important information I think could be helpful to you all.
If it's just submitted in writing, we'd appreciate that. We
Okay,
really
I
are
can
trying to
certainly
stay
do that.
fair to
Certainly,
everybody.
I can
Thank you.
understand that.
Okay.
A plan, if it's good, it's enforceable and it's sustainable. I don't see that in this plan. After developing model codes for NACO, federal funding to go there, I guess it didn't trickle down. Not there. I don't see any translation in different languages for people in terms of stakeholder involvement. The area proposed in the zoning area to be high density. Primitive man, 5,500 years ago, I found a Clovis point on my property. They knew to develop not high density next to a sensitive water body. You didn't do it 5,500 years ago. Why are you doing it now? We know more now. Do we not? TMDLs, impaired water bodies, that's what you're talking about. Non-attainment areas under NOx, the National Air Ambient Quality. Heat days, more of that's coming. The current water infrastructure can't even support, you haven't even talked to citizens yet on the current infrastructure, what you're going to do with the lead and copper rule that's coming down the pike.
I'm going to need you to go ahead and conclude now.
And the PFAS, emerging contaminants.
If you go ahead and submit the remainder in writing, I appreciate it.
Okay. So
Thank you.
what we're asking you to pull off this. Do a study, do an economic study. Find out what we think. We got some important people here in your county,
Thank you, ma'am.
and they're all willing to work with you, okay?
Thank you. We'll go
Thank you
go
for
ahead
your
and-
time. I really
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thank you.
Lisa Borden?
Hello, my name is Lisa Borden, and I live at 116 Rideout Point Road, Irmo, which is Ballantyne. Because if you want the mail delivered to your house, you have to have an Irmo address. We are that rural. I'm speaking today to refute the proposed R3 zoning for our area, Winding Road, Rideout Point, and Pebble Shore. To say I've gone through your document with a fine-tooth comb is kind of an understatement. It's kind of what I do. On Wednesday, March 29th, 2017, a few years ago, pre-COVID, I attended an initial land development meeting at the Ballantyne Community Center where you were looking for public input in devising and designing this document. What we discussed at that meeting was nowhere close to what this document even shows. COVID happened, I didn't hear any more, and then this popped up, and we're shocked. The area of Winding Road, Rideout Point, Pebble Shore is currently zoned RSLD, which is residential, family, single-family, low density, with the 12,000 square foot minimum, one principal dwelling unit per lot designation, which means one house per one lot. In section 26-1.9 in your document, RSLD and R2 are listed as zoning district equivalences. Our current RSLD district allows 3.63 dwelling units per acre with one principal dwelling unit per lot. The R2 district permits 3 dwelling units per acre with single-family dwellings, duplexes, 3-family homes, and 4-family homes. In addition, lot widths are substantially decreased from 75 feet to 50 feet. The Richland County Land Development Code rewrite does not list residential R3, which is proposed, as a zoning distance equivalent. It's listed as residential medium density, which we are not. We are low density and have been. 1977 was when the first code was written, and then 1985 is when the second code was written. In 2006, 6, my house was hit by lightning and burned to the ground, unfortunately. Lost everything we owned. If, under these current regulations, I could build 3 houses on my lot, or a triplex, or a duplex in a single home, with 180 foot of waterfront and a shared dock. That is not our neighborhood. We have 4 lots in our neighborhood that are over 2 acres and 12 lots that are over 1 acre. So what we're asking you to do is to reconsider the density, the duplexes, the single family versus the triplexes, the quadplexes, and the zoning designation.
Okay,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Richard Brown?
Yeah, I'm Richard Brown. I live at 108 Wild Goose Road in Blythewood, and we already have a lot of traffic problems on Blythewood Road. If you ever drove to the town of Blythewood and headed towards 321 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you are held up in traffic from the schools on the side of the road. Cars parked right in the middle of the road, nowhere to go. We've got enough people in that area right now. And just to say that, what are you going to do about the traffic congestion that all these zoning changes are going to do to our city here? You know, I haven't heard nothing about any congestion problems. You guys ought to run a check on that. You know, and as for the lady up here talking about our prayer and freedom, you guys are already taking it away from us. So just thank you for hearing me.
Richard A. Ferrara?
Mr. Chairman and members, thanks for allowing me a couple minutes today. My name is Richard Ferrara. I live at 2208 Riding Ridge Road in the Spring Valley neighborhood. And I'm not quite as astute as some of the people here are with there's different zoning districts and things. However, there is a section exiting Spring Valley Road on North Springs Road that has been a dangerous place for quite some time. And there's a triangle parcel of property, I think, at the corner of Millfield Road and North Springs Road that is going to be rezoned to allow for some development of some sort, dentist offices, whatever qualifies under whichever R number it is. My concerns are that the road has been widened in certain areas on North Springs Road between Brickyard and Sandhills to allow for slip lanes to go to Sparkleberry and other things. There's actually even been an additional entrance to Sandhills added. The traffic has done nothing but increase for the past few years, and I'm afraid that this new parcel on the corner, and there's some industrial spaces along that road where it goes on to Millfield, where it looks like there's going to be more industrial stuff going on, that making a left-hand turn out of our neighborhood during any 6 hours of the day, commuter hours, is very risky. My son lost a playmate. My 10-year-old son lost a playmate about a year and a half ago on North Springs Road, was killed in a car accident. There's a lot of traffic, and pretty soon that one entrance coming out of Spring Valley is going to be useless. There's another light at Brickyard Road about 100 yards down. Like this gentleman had said, there's not going to be a light to help us get out of our neighborhood, and increased traffic is going to make it riskier. Lots of drivers try to create a gap so that we could pull through and get around, but all that does is make it riskier because you can't see the traffic in the other lane heading towards Sandhills. So you can edge yourself out if someone's nice enough to let you in, but that doesn't mean you're going to avoid an accident because a lot of people can't see you. I'm starting to learn that it sounds like maybe there should be a lot of different traffic studies done before an overall rezoning. I'm sure you probably have done some in many cases, but
This concludes your time. Thank you very
yeah,
much.
thank you.
All right.
Michael Watts?
Michael Watts, 421 Reimer Pond Road, 359 Adams Road, Blythewood. I live on land that has been in my family since before the Civil War. There's 20 acres left that's mine. There's maybe 3 other relatives that were, or Reimer's descendants that are there. We've continuously come to meetings for input when these kinds of rezonings are going to take place. We've come to the meetings that the planning department has put on, and we have continuously, over 30 years, asked the county to leave us rural. The category that we're going to be put in now will let developers have 10 feet. The space between houses will only be 10 feet. It is completely not in the character of the rural that we're used to living in and the rural we want to continue living in. I hope, since this is an informational meeting for you all, you'll consider a couple of things. I'll make it quick. In the 70s, Dutch Square and St. Andrews was the place to be. In the 80s, Dennisville and Columbia Mall was the place to be. Around 2000, Sand Hills and Clemson Road was the place to be. All of these places end up in blight over a 30 or 40 year span. We need to think about redeveloping inside where density already is and stop pushing it further and further out where the only people that benefit from it are the developers and the realtors. Thank you.
Please hold applause. No applause, please, during the meeting. Thank you.
Linda Kelly.
Mr. Chair and members of the Planning Commission, I have 2 property owners that I'm here for, so I'm wondering if I can have 2 minutes for each property owner.
For 2 minutes. Total.
Okay.
You can submit anything in writing that you want to that
All
goes beyond that.
One of my clients is Dr. Stephen Serbin. He has 1721 Horseshoe Drive. He's currently zoned OI. It allows medical offices, and the change to R4 will not. He's under contract to sell the property, and the buyer is banking on the medical zoning and not having it grandfathered. There's some disadvantages to grandfathering. So that's something that we would ask you to consider, leaving it so that medical offices are allowed by right.
What was the address there?
1721 Horseshoe Drive. The other client, Mr. Kevin Corley, is here with me today. He has 12 properties. We were before y'all early October on one of them, and we really appreciate that y'all agreed and supported us on a rezoning on Fairfield Road. We went to county council 3 times plus a town hall, never had any opposition, but at the end of all of that, we were told we needed to be withdrawn because of the new zoning. So we were a little disappointed about that, but here we are. The properties that Mr. Corley has, and we will submit something to you in detail, so I won't take a lot of time, but there are 2 on Fairfield Road, and within a half mile of either of those, and those are projected to be CC3. One of them he bought next to LI, which was all over the website. I never saw anything about a Crane Creek, but it was LI, and so he bought the one next to it because of that. And so the Crane Creek 3, he's a contractor, so he owns CL Construction, Corley Lawn and Construction, and the CC3 does not allow that kind of activity. So we would ask, I've spoken, Mr. Crooks was very nice and spoke to me when I called the other day. So there are some other ones that he's not unhappy about necessarily. Some mobile home zonings on Heron Drive that will change to residential.
I'd like to submit anything else in writing if you
All
want
right,
to do
thank
that.
you very much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sandra Perkins. Sandra Perkins, it looks like 1012 Burton Street in Columbia. Sandra Jenkins.
Counselor, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. My name is Sandra Jenkins, and I reside at 1912 Burton Street, Columbia, South Carolina 29204. In the 1980s, I went through a lot to have my property rezoned so that I could place a mobile home there beside my parents. And it came in as a blessing because I was there close by to take care of my parents. Since that time, they have deceased. On this paperwork that I received, it says prior zoning was MH, and it's changing to R3. My mobile home is approximately 40 years old, and of course, as you know, mobile homes do not last forever. I would like to be able to if possible, to remain at MH so that in the future, if I want to replace my mobile home, I can replace it without having to go back through rezoning again. And I thank you for your attention.
I want to recommend you speak with the planning staff, okay?
Okay.
About how to go about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Teresa McFawn from Langford Road.
Good afternoon. Teresa McFawn, 753 Langford Road in Blythewood. We have approximately 25 acres and livestock located there. I've been in the Blythewood area since 1994 and have seen all the changes that have come about over the years. And the change is just unbelievable, and the number of houses and things that are happening there. It was very rural. There were horse farms, cattle farms, and it was just the flavor of that side of Richland County. Just gave it a great feel. You went out there, you were out in the country, just breath of fresh air. Well, when you walk out now, you can smell the pollution. It is amazing how much you can smell from all the cars and all the traffic. It's just, I feel like, does Richland County want to keep anything agriculture? Or do they want it all to be rural? I mean, all to be not rural, but full of houses. Because we're losing the flavor of Blythewood. We're also concerned about our livestock with more and more growth, more and more people, more and more traffic. There's just so much. And when you have livestock and you have to care for them, you have more and more people driving up and down the roads, doing things that are inappropriate, that can spook livestock. And I get with the growth and all, you're going to have that. We have to deal with that. My main concern is let's save the flavor of Blythewood and what it is and what it always has been and what makes it so special to everybody. Thank you.
Angela McFawn.
Hi, my name is Angela McFawn. I live at 753 Langford Road in Blythewood, South Carolina also. Thank you for hearing me today. I have a main concern. Blythewood is rural, as plenty of people have stated, or used to be. Our current zoning is rural. As Teresa before me said, we have livestock on our farm. We've got about 30 horses. And it's really beneficial for us to stay rural because we're agriculture, right? The zoning changes proposed are really going to affect that, the growth of Blythewood, all the houses. We worry about, getting zoned out. What if we can't have our horses? That's our livelihood. And I think that's the livelihood of a lot of people in Blythewood. I mean, I realize on Langford Road there used to be lots of cow fields and they're now subdivisions. But I think that is, Blythewood was the agriculture, the horse farms, the cows, and everything else. I think with the zoning change, not only is that going to hurt the agriculture in the rural areas, but the increased traffic and the other problems that brings. And I just think those are things that need to be considered when you guys are making your decisions. Thank you.
Scott Dixon.
Hey, Scott Dixon, 201 Oak Hill Road in Eastover. I'm in the area that the other fellow was talking about that is restricted. And there's supposed to be a whole bunch of things in place that were put in place long ago in the 70s to keep mobile homes out for several different reasons. There's not supposed to be anything out there on wheels. It's not supposed to be RVs out there. There's a whole bunch of different things that are not being enforced. And I'm agricultural. I've got just over 70 acres of land from what I was told in the assessment or in the area that I went and asked the questions. I'm still going to be agricultural, but I'm not 100% on that. I don't know what you're going to change in my area. I'm real confused about how I was put in so much debt to repair something that I can't even see from my house. And that gets into more stuff that I really just don't need to speak about as it's in court. And I'm real concerned about my property being overrun by what could be a new developer that comes in and just does away with the old restrictions based on some new thing that comes in from possibly something that you do. And I'm not informed. I don't know everything that you have in mind. I've been given one or two pieces of paper, I've been given 3 pieces of paper which separates my property into 3 different sections, which if it was done by the HOA, I would be paying 3 times to repair something that I can't see instead of the one that I am, which I'm going to have to change my property in other ways just to get in tune with the stuff. But like I said, there's so much in court, I really can't talk about it. I'm not in a position to be an attorney. That's why I have one over some stuff that's currently going on. I don't know what's going to happen with this R1, R2, RU. I'm confused because there's so many things that this could lead to if, say, a developer came in and said, well, since it's now R1 or R2 or R3 or whatever, now we're going to stack things up based on this new stuff.
Okay, sir.
Thank you
so much.
Alan Hutta.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Alan Hutto with the Building Industry Association of Central South Carolina, 625 Taylor Street, Columbia. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the young and first-time homebuyers in Richland County. And the new zoning plan is absolutely going to hurt them. And let me explain why. So we're in the midst of a housing crisis in the Midlands, whether you realize it or not. Millennial generation is finally getting jobs. They're getting married, they want to move out of their apartment, they want to have kids, and they want to buy a house. And the problem is there are not enough houses to go around. And you can see that in the prices. I mean, the prices have gone crazy lately. Some of that's, due to increase in the supply chain, increased cost of materials, but a lot of it is just there's not enough houses to meet the demand. Like it or not, our kids want to live in Richland County too. And the zoning plan, which is going to downzone 80% of the county and essentially make it undevelopable and push all that other development into the other 20% of the county, it's going to increase cost substantially. And that kind of brings me to my next point, is that the new zoning plan is based on the comprehensive plan of 2015, which was based on demographic data from 2010. So this plan is based on data that's 12 years old, and things have changed significantly since 2010 and even since the 2015, since the plan was completed. So I would just ask that y'all keep that in consideration, as you remake the county, which is essentially what you're doing with this new zoning plan, and keep in mind the young first-time home buyer and how this is going to impact them. Thank you.
Bruce Oswald.
Thank y'all. Bruce Oswald, 256 Sandy Valley Court. I guess my issue is a little different from everybody else in here because I'm in agreement with what y'all proposed. I've got properties that was RSMD to be zoned general commercial, and what I'm wanting to know is, have y'all worked with City of Columbia to ensure that these properties we're looking at rezoning commercial, will sanitary sewer be available to these properties?
We'll have to speak with staff about that.
That would be down below.
Yes, sir.
Because below it was across the road, and we were trying to do some development, we couldn't do it because it wasn't available. So hopefully y'all are looking at this. Because if I can't get sewer, then I can't do much to make it commercial.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
Ivory Jackson.
Good afternoon to all, and thank you. I'm Ivory Jackson, 2178 Congaree Road in Eastover. One of my concerns was always expressed by Lisa Borden, where there was no notification prior to getting this. I understand there were meetings in the area. I was at the last meeting that you had prior to COVID. It was well attended in the area. I understand you've had Hopkins, Gadsden, and Eastover. However, I never heard about either of those meetings. And I'm on your email. Didn't hear anything from the news reports, and I hope you do reconsider and have some more meetings where you have more input, because I understood Gadsden or Eastover was very well attended because there was lack of information. So that was very disappointing coming from you all, considering I was at the previous meeting before COVID. The other thing, looking at the sheet, I'm zoned for, the new zoning district is HM. My concern is who determines who's the eco-friendly commercial use? Who determines the eco-friendly commercial use? Would that be you all, or would that be in favor of me, which I doubt it? What you may consider eco-friendly may not be what I consider eco-friendly. So how would I ever find out when a business is getting ready to come in, whatever that development is? How would I know that it's considered eco-friendly for us? Usually, and I know things are not working in my favor, because recently, all of a sudden last week, I got so many calls regarding they want to buy my property, which means, something's coming that's not probably in my favor. But it's advantageous to the commercial people. And the other thing, we have properties. One is a plot of land. Two other happen to be side by side, both residential, but they have two different zones. That doesn't make sense to me. Side by side, they're all in the same area, but I got two different codes. I'm not in favor of this.
If you need to.
Mark Johnston.
Thank you. Mark Johnston, 419 Mount Valley Road in Blythewood. I attended one of y'all's public meetings that you had up in the Upper Richland area on Wednesday, and I asked a question there, and then also emailed and talked to, Brian Crooks via email. On page 108, when you described the R1 district, it has a minimum lot width of 50 feet, which both at that meeting on Wednesday and Mr. Crook indicated that was probably a typo, and it should be the 120 feet. Do any of y'all have any information on that you could verify yes or no, or should I just continue to deal with email to find out that information?
I want to deal with staff.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Walter Jones?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Walter Jones from Hopkins, South Carolina, 1005 Brown Road, 29061. I came to talk about the zoning. It's the first time I heard about this was yesterday when the thing came in the mail. And they talk about rezoning. I would like to know who you all talk to rezone. Did you go through the community and check, see who want to do it and who would not like to do it? My grandfather left us 12 acres of land, and I'm the only one left, but I got kids, and I'm going to have grandkids. Now, I hear the young man talk about they don't have enough housing. That's why it called generational gap to me, generational work. I'm trying to get my kids squared away so they won't have to be crowded around somebody else, because, we farmed that land for years, and that's how we live. I was born in the 50s, and, back down there then, they called it wetland. Nobody wanted it. So my grandfather back in the days bought that 12 acres of land. Now, it came from my grandfather, not my father, but my grandfather. And I'm trying to keep this for the generated wealth of my family. I disagree with this. I just disagree with it. Because you want to push everybody out. Talk about not enough housing. You have enough housing if you would do it right. If you all work things right, you're trying to take away instead of add. You're subtracting from the lower class people and make millionaires over here. So who are we for? I'll say you're against us. Thank you.
Please hold applause. Thank you.
Lorraine Abel?
I'd like to thank the commission for giving us the opportunity to speak today. I live at 1078 Abel Road. It is family land that has been in my husband's family for like 7 generations. We are trying to hold on to it, just like this gentleman, for our children and our grandchildren. Right now we have, our property is being rezoned from rural to R1, but it also has a classification of floodplain and the R1. My husband has spoken with Mr. Crook several times, and he's been very informative, and we appreciate it. He could not be here today because he could not get off work. So I'm here, and I'm not as knowledgeable about it as he is. But looking at the zoning map, it had the floodplain, the WR, and then there was another overlay on it that was to deal with water. And I think Mr. Crooks was not sure about the definition of that and what was allowed, and that's what we're concerned about. We're concerned that our agricultural land that we grow trees on and harvest for forestry is going to be devalued so that we'll never, ever be able to do anything with it. And I agree with Mr. Watts and some of the other people from Blythewood. We are being overwhelmed by the growth. Y'all are failing us, and we really want you to be aware of it, wake up, pay attention to what the citizens are saying. The roads cannot handle anymore. The people that are on wells are going to be affected by this growth if y'all are not careful. Our schools are overcrowded. The crime has increased. Our property, we have had to call the sheriff's department I don't know how many times in the last 5 months because of vandalism, people shooting guns, parking. It's become a lover's lane on our road. And we have small children and, well, we have grandchildren that don't need to be witnessing that. And we really, really, really want y'all to pay attention to what you are doing because the growth has got to slow down. I understand Mr. Hutto's position, but we are the ones that are having to deal with it, and we want it stopped. We want you to put a moratorium on building in Blythewood right now till you can catch up with the roads and the schools and the water and the sewer.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jarvis Mothers.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Jarvis Mothers. I ain't been in I just moved here from California, from San Francisco, California. I live in Blythewood. I think it's 1072 Blythewood. I don't think I've been here 2 months yet. I'm in the process of buying some over 20 acres off around Langford Road area. When I was looking at the property, it's zone rural, and it's getting ready to switch to R1. And my problem with it is you allowed one accessory building for 1,250 square feet. I've been a mechanic all my life. I'm a mechanic at a major airline in Charlotte. I got tools that I can fill that building up right now. I got 5 cars. I'm like, to be only allowed one building for 1,250 square feet is unreal. And then, like, the whole point, I said, I'm ex-military. My uncle is a retired cop in this county. He showed me the beauty of this county. I lived all over. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I lived in Atlanta for years, and I lived in Dallas. I lived in Wisconsin. And like I said, I lived in Northern California. And I seen the plight of, I understand what you guys want to do. You want to develop things, but the thing about it, like in Atlanta, it's so bad with traffic. They put all these houses, and they didn't build up the roads. And so now just to go 15 miles, you got to sit in an hour traffic. When I was living in San Francisco, I live like 35 miles from work. And on Fridays, it takes me 3.5 hours to get home. I got sick of that. Sometimes I would rather sleep in my car than drive home. And I understand what you guys are doing, but if you keep putting all these houses in these areas without building up the roads and stuff, you're going to have traffic. Look, and the property I'm looking at on Langford Road, around that railroad track, is a whole bunch of traffic now. And then if you add more subdivisions back there, you won't even, I don't know how you're going to do that without adding more roads or even taking traffic into consideration. I worked very hard to save up this money to get this property. I promised my daughter, she didn't want a swing set, she wanted a playground. And Daddy worked very hard to give her a playground. And that's all I'm saying is just consider, what people are going through. Like I said, I saved money for this property, and to be regulated, I won't even be able to use what I'm buying it for. I want to grow exotic trees and miniature trees. But I won't be able to do that. Would it be rezoned? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Kim Murphy.
Good afternoon. Kim Murphy, 154 Old Laurel Lane, Chapin. Recognize that staff has put a lot of time into trying to craft a plan that helps the county grow in an orderly fashion. I support the concept and some parts of it. It will streamline the approval process for developers by removing the planning departments in your review of the appropriateness of a subdivision and the 3 readings by council confirming or denying that appropriateness. A developer won't have to wait until the review process has been completed to know whether the subdivision density on a particular tract of land will be approved, because it will be automatically approved unless they request a density higher than the map defines. The plan significantly reduces your time and effort, staff's, and council's. The review meetings won't be necessary. But it has a fatal flaw. Our elected council members will lose their authority to determine if because of impacts to road and other infrastructure, life safety, environment, impacts to the character of the area, a proposed subdivision is really appropriate. They lose that control. A stagnant map does not reflect the then current conditions or anticipated conditions. Our council members' authority to manage growth for the benefit of the county and its citizens, one of their primary roles as an elected official, will be stripped. Also, this is the exact same plan that Lexington has been trying to change. Look at Highway 378. Look at Chapin. It took being able to see and feel the damage for something to be done, but the damage is done. And even though they were able to elect new council members who cared, there were thousands of home sites that had already been approved before better standards were put in place that have yet to come out of the ground. Those will impact our county. Our maps don't reflect that impact. We don't want to wait until the damage is done to make changes. There must be a provision for council to continue to have the ability to weigh in on subdivisions. If not, please keep the existing planning commissions and council's review process. Thank you very much for your service.
Irene Pardo.
Thank you for the time. My name is Irene Pardo. I'm at 1509 Winchester Avenue in Columbia, South Carolina, 29203. I'm here with a couple of other members of my neighborhood. We are the Denny Terrace neighborhood over on Monticello Road. And I apologize because we were hoping to have met with Paul Livingston before this meeting, but we were unable. He was going to actually give us a breakdown of how this would affect our particular neighborhood, and specifically so we could address specifically the nature of it. But we were not able to get that meeting yet. We will be speaking to him. I'm part of the committee for our neighborhood as well. There's another member here as well of our committee who will be speaking with him along with other steering committee members. Our main concern about we are a low-density RS, low-density community. It's a small kind of country charm, small single-family homes. We are extremely concerned about the move to the R3, where it allows for the multifamily dwellings, duplexes, with a high degree of protection for adjacent low-density residential development. We're not exactly sure what that definition means, but we're extremely concerned about the multi-family dwellings and developments building up in that area, especially in consideration of what happened off Broad River Road. Somebody spoke about the Dutch Square area, how that has been affected after several years. We will stand against that zoning. We will get community members to come out, petition. We will be signing petitions against this. Once we do speak with Paul Livingston about it, and see exactly how it affects us, and that's all. I wish I had more information and details, but I don't. But I just want you to know that we do stand against the multi-family dwelling and just changing the feel of our community, which is a country, rural, low-density community. Thank you.
Brandon Miller.
Afternoon. Brandon Miller, 287 Quiet Pond Way, also in Blythewood. I guess this is going to end up kind of being a rhetorical question. What measures have been, or without a doubt will be taken to ensure that the effects of the city encroachment on the rural areas do not negatively alter or impact the affected residents, including, but not limited to, increased traffic, which we already have a problem with in Blythewood, increases in local crime, which we've seen that in Blythewood as well, changes in tax rates, et cetera. Right now, I live about 2.5 miles off of exit 27, and I commute northbound for work. When school traffic is I guess, present, it takes me approximately 20 minutes to go that 2.5 miles from my house to the interstate. We also have issues with, in front of Blythewood High, traffic gets so backed up that vehicles actually start driving off-road to bypass the school traffic and get back onto their normal commute. We have Blythewood Farms that's being constructed right next to our community. I live on a pond that's on Rice Creek there. With that development going on, we've already had washout from the construction coming down into our pond. That includes, empty drinking bottles, tarps for, I guess, controlling runoff, various plastic, pieces. So we already have issues with, construction causing impacts on our area. And there are several other ponds down the stream from us that are being impacted as well, I'm sure. Again, with increasing crime, we've had vehicle break-ins in the area, and the people that are going through these vehicles don't really seem to care. In our community alone, we had a game warden had his vehicle broken into, and they actually stole a pair of handcuffs and a loaded magazine out of that before they came down to my house, went through my car, and I actually have them on camera where they discarded it into a common area in our community. So there was ammunition and handcuffs, and potentially, if they'd picked up a weapon, there would have been an armed criminal going through our community.
Okay.
So what
Thank
measures
you very
are being
much.
taken?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mary Weston?
I'm Mary Weston. I live at 12 Ashley Court in Columbia, but I have property out in Hopkins on Elm Savannah Road. I didn't realize I'd signed up to speak. I just came to learn because all I got in the mail was this one piece of paper, and I went online and tried to figure out what it meant and how it was going to affect my property. My family owns a fair amount of property down in the Hopkins area, and so I was coming to learn. I don't know exactly. It looks like we've got a military installation overlay district. I don't know how that affects the property as well. And I'm moving from RU to RT, which I assume means that that'll be multifamily. Well, I don't know what kind of residential area that would be, but so.
I would just encourage you to speak with staff while you're here.
Okay.
I think it'd
Thank
probably
you.
help you.
Thomas Monley? Looks like Sharp Road? That's all we had signed up.
Okay. So yeah, as I indicated earlier, we'll meet again on April 4th, and we will the commission will debate and discuss and take votes at that time regarding what our recommendations would be. That's our expectation. We'll do that at the April 4th meeting. There'll be a window of opportunity for public input there. And again, in the interim, if anybody wants to submit anything in writing or a call to the Richland County Staff Planning Department, you're welcome to do that. And a reminder, you're welcome to reach out to your county councilman or county council person at any time process. But that concludes the public input period of our meeting. So, yeah, any of you that wanted to go ahead and step out at this time, you're welcome to do so. We can pause for a minute. City Commissioner needs to take a quick break. Go ahead and do that. We'll stand at ease.
Mr. Chair, do you
Yes.
just want to just go ahead and just call like a 5-minute recess at this
Yeah,
time?
can we get a motion for a 5-minute recess?
Motion for a 5-minute recess.
All right. Seconded? Take a vote?
Show of hands.
Show of hands? Yep.
Motion carries.
Unanimous? Thank you. 5 minutes. Recess?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Show of hands, come out of
Show of
recess.
hands.
Yep.
Motion carries.
All right, unanimous. Okay, so let's move on to item number 5 on the agenda, the neighborhood pre-application meeting criteria. Conversation, I guess, we're picking up from last meeting. Mr. Crooks, please.
Yeah, so this was basically where, we presented some of that language specifically, and then I think y'all wanted more time to review and potentially discuss, but we're basically at the point where it's, whatever recommendation, whether y'all did or didn't, want to forward one, I mean, that would be basically where we're at, or what additional modifications we might want to see to that language. Basically, it's, however commission wanted to proceed forward with this. Again, I think from staff's point of view, we don't necessarily recommend it, but if if it was to be required, here's how we think it should go. I think where we left off at last meeting was, time to review, time to look through it, see what other additional modifications or changes commissioners may want to see to it. So that's why it's listed as an action item here, as it relates to potential changes that you might want to see, or the like as it relates to that.
So I know we've all spent a lot of time with the map. Is there a desire to go ahead and take action on this, or would we prefer to defer it?
So you could, I guess, sorry, Mr. Chair, so, I mean, that's up to y'all, deferring it or action. I think in terms of action of forwarding a recommendation, this still wouldn't go before county council until the April meeting. We're still not looking to have one, even if it was for this, because we have not, even if y'all were to approve this and then recommend forwarding a recommendation, we would still have to do the 30-day advertisement as it relates to that. So we would need to make sure that we fell within that window, depending on how y'all wanted to move forward with this.
Is it based on, this is all initiated through a request from county council, right?
Essentially, yes. This was one of the things that was mentioned at their work session that they would potentially be interested in, but our recommendation was, leaving it up to y'all, let y'all kind of, because we, what y'all's recommendation originally was, and then if it was to be required, basically, how could we go about doing that? If county council eventually wanted it to be required, how should that look? What should it be? And this is what we feel is kind of the best option if it was to be required. Again, our recommendation is that it's not, but if it were to be, here's how it could look.
No, just confirm again, there's no such current provisions in the rewritten text that's been adopted by council.
Not for a specific required one, no. They're all noted as optional.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
I think, given some of the information we learned today, that it might be worth accepting your recommendation that we defer this until such a later date, because I'm still trying to understand what council was asking us to do, first and foremost. Secondly, I think in light of what we heard with the discussions today, that it might be worth an opportunity to give us a chance to take a look at that document again and potentially make some recommendations back to the staff on what we think. It's just my comment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I definitely agree with Mr. Gilchrist. And another thing, and it's not your fault, Mr. Chairperson, but unfortunately, sometimes the people in the, I say congregation, the audience think that we've already made determinations and we haven't. So wherever we can correct that and let them know we're listening and, trying to be fair, that would be good. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else offhand? I want to give this its due diligence, especially in light of it being prompted by council. And it sounds like the kind of thing that can wait till maybe after April, maybe in May. after we've had an opportunity to complete the map review.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Dennis.
With the neighborhood pre-application meeting, I'm kind of in agreement with that. I got a lot of new notes now that could help what I've already got highlighted in that, for that. So I'm kind of on it.
So, I guess the chair would entertain a motion to defer this, item 5 to, could be May, could be April.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, moved and properly seconded, and we're saying that we would defer it to May.
It would help if you would identify a specific month.
Let's do May. Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
All right, still seconded, Ms. Frierson?
Yes.
Okay. All right, staff, would you take a vote? Motion to defer to May.
All right, those in favor of deferring the neighborhood pre-application meeting criteria to May, Branham.
Aye.
Dennis.
Aye.
Yonke.
Aye.
Carlisle. Aye. Frierson. Aye. Metz. Aye. Brady.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Gilchrist.
Aye.
All right, that unanimously passes.
All right, thank you. Item 6, Chairman's Report, and there was a request to potentially discuss or review the officers' election from December. If there's any at front. Oh, I'm sorry. I'd be switching those. I'm looking at Geo like the chairman. So as to the chairman's report, if I could first just address the potential for a work session on April 1st. I know we've been kind of batting that around for idea of doing that for the purposes of continual education. Would we prefer to keep that meeting but focus more?
I would heavily encourage us to keep that 1 April meeting about some.
Anybody else want to give any input as far as like date or time, staff time availability for the room?
We can confirm those dates. I think if you can come up with a date as a body at this time, I can check to see if it's available and go ahead and lock it in just before we leave today.
In a motion.
I believe at your previous meeting, Mr. Chair, that you stated you were looking at the 1st of April, which is a Friday, will be the first Friday of the month. So just to put that out there.
Make a motion. Motion work April.
Second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Moved and seconded that the planning commission schedule a work session with time to be.
Well, I also think that, again, I think you can go ahead and establish a time because it may not work for everyone. Friday is kind of out. But so if you go ahead and establish a time now, again, I can check to see the availability of chambers prior to this meeting concluding.
Motion.
Okay.
First 9 a.m.
Oh, gee.
I mean, you just name the time.
You want staff there, right?
Second.
Question. Hey, anybody need a second to check their calendar? Okay.
I would just prefer that it be a little later because I'd run into a lot of bus traffic on the way here. That's all. Maybe 10.
Here's my motion at 10 a.m. Just trying to
I'll
keep the conversation
second it.
going.
I'll second it.
Good baby, yeah.
Motion for work session April 1st, 10 a.m. Would you take?
Those in favor of the motion for a work session on April the 1st at 10 a.m. Brown?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Yonke?
Aye.
Carlisle? Carson?
Aye.
Metz? Brady? Keller?
Aye.
Gilchrist?
Aye.
Yes, Mr.
I
Dennis.
just want to make sure, that's April 1st, 10 a.m. Okay,
April Fool's Day.
I just want to make sure, because I'm putting it in right now.
Bless our hearts. We'll be here. All right. Planning Director's report.
At this time, we have nothing, to present, sir.
All right. And Ms. Frierson and Mr. Gilchrist brought up earlier the question about the officers election. Anything new from the county on that front?
If I may, just to reiterate for the body. So at our last planning commission meeting, good?
I was just confirming that.
Oh, okay, I can wait, yeah.
Go back, we are confirmed for Friday, April the 1st at 10 a.m.
Amen.
Gilchrist, did you?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. So, in our last meeting, we had a conversation about an issue relative to our rules, and some of you may remember that we amended our rules a couple of times since September to elect officers for various reasons. And there was some discrepancy about whether or not how we followed the protocol to do that. And I think this commission asked staff if they could check with the county attorney just to give us some guidance on whether or not what we had indeed voted on was appropriate and proper. And so I just wanted to get some idea of if in fact we've heard anything back from the county attorneys on whether or not they agreed or had no comment on it.
No, sir, we have not gotten anything back from the county attorney's office, but again, one of the things that, we've had some discussions about this throughout the county, is that y'all had a lot of discussion at the last meeting, but as a body, y'all never formally made a request or voted on sending something to the county attorney's office and specifically what it was you were looking for. So I would request that if it is the decision of the planning commission that to have the county attorney review any particular documents and specifically what it is that you're looking for, that you take a vote, at least take a motion and have a vote regarding what is to go forward for that inquiry.
Okay.
That's right. I'll call again for a motion if anyone has a motion related to
Before we
that.
do that, Mr. Chairman, I just want to ask a quick question, just to be clear on something. So this is not a precedent that we're setting to when we provide some directive to staff or some inquiry to staff that we will have to vote each time to do that. Are we setting that kind of precedent?
in the discussion, and I think what we were just looking for was there like a collective will from the commission to the point that someone would be willing to make a motion? Because, me, chair, I felt like I needed to act.
Sure.
No motion was made, and that's where it was left. I know informal inquiries and conversations have been had, but yeah, there was nothing formal requested, and so that's just where we are.
But you feel pretty good that we wouldn't be setting a precedence on anytime we ask staff to inquire to the county staff about something, that's not setting a precedence that we would have to vote each time to do that. Is that right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a comment on that right now. I haven't really thought much about that. So.
Staff has any comment about it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of a time. It's very seldom that I can think of where the planning commission has actually asked staff to check with another county, another county department on something specific. A few times I know that when we've had an issue, maybe gone into executive session on the item, if we were able to, we could get the county attorney to come in for that. But just overall, I can't think of a time really when the planning commission has asked us to go to another department for their official ruling or determination on something.
Last comment, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure. Yes, sir.
So you don't think we have to amend the rules to include language that would govern something like this?
You're not changing anything in your rules. I mean, you're just asking someone to look.
Right, I understand that. I guess what I'm asking is if in fact I'm always nervous about precedent setting, right? And so the idea of including some guidance in our rules that will guide us in conversations like this for the future, I'm just asking whether or not you think we need to amend rules to include that. That mean one way or the other, but I just want to make sure that we're covering all our bases.
I also just feel like we do. There is a will, at least on the staff's part. I know it's been brought to us more than once to do a more whole-scale review of the rules of procedure, and that's something that I really hoped to get to in a work session. That wasn't so targeted to this zoning map, which we will be having on Friday the 1st. So I certainly would be open to, further discussion about something like that in the context of, maybe a larger review.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chairperson and
Yes.
Commissioners, in that I was, in my opinion, the aggrieved party, I do recall near the end of the meeting, you did mention, is there a motion to that effect, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the reasons that at that time I was not interested in a motion is because I remember it was stated by one of the commissioners, the words, not the exact words, to the effect that I'm sure we're standing on legal ground and something about Robert's rules, et cetera. But what I wanted to make clear was with an election process, especially when we have a document that governs it, if we stray from it, we run into problems. And I agree with you, Mr. Chairperson, that it would be beneficial at some time for us to review our governing documents. So as I stated to the commission, I was going to bring the matter to the attention of County Council, and I did. And in fact, I got in touch with the leadership, Mr. Overture Walker, and with the former leader, Mr. Livingston. And what I did also was I asked the gentleman to share my concerns with the other county council members, and I did receive a response. Please forgive me for not having the correct date, but it was the last county council meeting, and I received a telephone voicemail from Mr. Overture Walker, and in effect, it stated that my concerns were taken very seriously, and that the inquiry which I have requested, in essence, will be done, and it will involve the county attorney and the county administrator. So my point is, I'm not saying don't take a motion or do take a motion. I just want to be fair to all of you and let you know that when I say something, I am sincere. I did do what I said I would do, and I have faith in the leadership of county council that they will follow up, and some of you, maybe all of you, I don't know, will be contacted by whomever, because I made my concerns quite clear. And so I'm trying to say this nicely. No matter what motion you take, I already did what I said I would do, and there will be follow-up according to what leadership of county council relayed to me.
Yeah, thank you, Ms.
You're quite welcome.
Yep, and I had opportunity to speak with Chairman Walker as well. So, you know, if that's where it gets left, you know, that's fine with me. I mean, Mr. Gilchrist presided over these actions, so, you know, potentially maybe they reach out to him as well. But, you know, ideally, if I'm happy to just wait and be patient, and if council wants to, you know, take some action or make a formal outreach, you know, I know that I'm personally here and available for that. I've made outreach to the chair as well. So, yeah, I mean, that is, I'm aware of the concerns, and again, they have been reported, as has been discussed here with the commission. I'm not here to, you know, kind of tell anybody else, you know, what they should or should not be thinking. I'm very hopeful that we can stay focused otherwise on this zoning map. It has great impact to the county, and kind of fortitude today as
Mike came out, Mr. Chairman.
so you all will be prepared, and that I'll be prepared as well for April 1st as well as April 4th, because it is of great impact. I don't have to tell you all that. Y'all know it, so look forward to just kind of focusing in on that. And if county council wants to reach out to us on anything else, you know, we'll be here for it. The rules say that county council can remove any of us for cause. So if that's what they choose to do, that's what will happen.
Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
so we're not going to take a vote, is that right?
There can be a motion if there's a desire for a motion. Yeah, Mr. Yonke.
Suggested motion, can we defer this conversation to May or even June so that we can get through the land development code rewrite, the map, the issues that are pressing right now?
That's your motion, yes? Was that your motion?
I made that motion.
All right.
Defer until June.
Second.
What are we deferring?
Yeah,
Motion
that's what I
to
was gonna
defer
ask.
further conversation on the election of officials, officers election to June?
Development code rewrite in the map.
Would like to make a secondary motion.
And the motion, go ahead.
I'd like to amend the motion. I'd like to amend the motion to hold off conversation on this until the June meeting, and have a review of our rules with that.
Okay. Are you comfortable with that being like a substitute motion, Mr. Yonke? Okay.
Motion.
All right, and it's seconded by Mr. Yonke. So the motion is on, before us, and if the staff would please take a vote.
If we may, before we take the vote, just want to...
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Yes.
Just want, for the commission's sake, if we did receive a inquiry from county council, that may force us to have to deal with this way before June. So I just want to put that out there that if council decides to inquire about this, then we're not just going to have, no matter what our motion is, we're going to have to deal with that. So I just want to put that on the record.
I'd like to amend the motion, but Mr. Dennis like to...
Unreadiness?
No amendment?
No, I was just going to say, you said
Yes,
something that was
right.
very beneficial, Mr. Chairperson, about
Okay.
you, and please, if I get your statement wrong, just let me know. You felt comfortable waiting to hear back from county council, and I do feel comfortable as well.
Okay.
Because I believe that their word is good. And if, as Mr. Gilchrist said, if we take a motion, it might kind of lock us in a bind. So I'm perfectly fine to focus my attention on the land development code and the other things that we need to do in April, like April 1st. And I am perfectly fine waiting until we hear back from county council because, as I said, they assured me, the leadership did, and I trust them.
Right. So we do have a motion right now on the floor from Mr. Dennis. I have take a vote on the motion that's already been seconded.
That's right. Yes, sir.
We would have to take a motion, we would have to take a vote on that. We could either vote it down or we could carry it through. I think that motion that I made was like any conversation that's not with county council, just be held off to then if we were trying to talk about it and with our rules. That's more what I was getting at with my motion, so that we could look at the rules in June. Because we hopefully will be done with the LDC.
Oh. Maybe you could work on just taking a minute and seeing how you would state that all the way through.
I think it still.
All right, Mr. Price, you had something you wanted to interject there?
Okay. I want to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah.
We're expecting to hear something from council. Is that something that's going to come from council maybe to a couple of the individual members that have maybe spoken to council members? Or is that something, a formal, something formal from council to the body of the planning commission? Because what I'm getting at, from my understanding, I believe Ms. Frierson stated that she has spoken to council members. I believe you've spoken to some council members, and I'm sure maybe one or two others on here have also spoken to the council members. But again, there's been nothing official, and not as really the planning commission. So right. I guess my question is, if we're going to wait for something from the council, what is it we're waiting for exactly?
Correction. The inquiry that I made is quite official. And in terms of, are we going to get something individual or separately, that's not for me to determine. It will be for them to determine. But my inquiry and my statements to them was extremely official.
Oh, no, ma'am. I'm not doubting that.
No, I'm not. I just want you to know, it's because you were asking, would the response, in essence, be to maybe one or two or to all? I really don't know that. It's for them to determine. Right. That's all I was saying.
I would think that movement could withdraw their motion if they wanted to.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Staff is helping us out here.
Yes, they can. The maker of the motion can withdraw their motion.
Chairman?
Yes, Mr.
I would like to withdraw my motion.
Okay. Withdrawn. All right. Item number 8. Anything else from the planning director? Mr. Price?
No, sir. I believe.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that one of the things that was sent to each of the members was regarding our new schedule that we have for hopefully the remapping portion for the new land development code rewrite. The April 22nd County Council zoning public hearing has been canceled due to today's meeting really not taking any action. I'm sorry, March. I apologize. The March 22nd meeting has been canceled due to you not taking any action at this meeting. Is it expected that you will take action at the April 4th meeting, and as such, County Council will have this before them on the 26th of April. And of course, as Brian stated earlier, Mr. Crook stated, that we will look to have a number of meetings throughout the unincorporated area of Richland County to hopefully address some of the concerns or questions that citizens may have.
May I ask questions about that?
Yes,
the community meetings. So how are we telling people about this meeting, these community meetings? You know, I heard a lot of folks say they heard about it, or they got a note in the mail or whatever. How are we going to inform people about this meeting that's coming up, these community meetings?
We're looking at some different avenues. In addition to our current, we have email mailouts along with what we have within our planning department, but also with our community services and government. With them, they have a certain distribution list. We'll put it on our website, and we're also looking at other ways of using other forms of media to get this out to the citizens of the county.
I was just curious, something like this. I go to my church every Sunday, and we have announcements made. I think it'd be interesting to if we have. I know we have a number of churches in Richland County, but I'm just using that as one example of where we can communicate some of this information to constituencies that aren't a part of some of these very formal organizations that could potentially get the information out to folks so that they can come. So I just share that as just one example, and I'd be happy to share others, but just thinking out loud about what might be the most creative ways to get information to people.
Yeah, we're hoping that in addition to using the print media, which we don't get a lot of that, but also the digital media, we'll be even looking at some of our news stations to hopefully help promote some of those meetings that will be coming up. One of the things we're always careful of is using, say for example, what you stated, using the churches. If we're going to do that, we want to make sure we get all churches, which is a little bit more difficult versus, we could pick the ones that we knew because, we want to make sure we get to everyone. So we want to make sure that we're, pretty equitable when we do any type of announcements to the public.
In this conversation with Director earlier, he was indicating that, nearby jurisdictions that had major rewrites and reclassified all of their properties, they didn't even take the step to send individual mailers to the property owners.
I'm sure.
Where the county did, so kudos to the county for biting the bullet on that mailing cost.
Oh, and I think council has also, even with the neighborhood pre-application criteria that they've asked us to look at, I think there's an interest in wanting to make sure that as many times as we can in any way inform the public as much as we can. That's always something that we should always have at the forefront of what we do. So anyway.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for Mr. Price?
No, sir.
And any other items for discussion? Commission. Mr. Dennis?
Yes, going back to the other thing that we was talking about, we are just waiting for county council, correct?
The officers election?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where we are.
Yeah, because I feel fine with it. I've talked to county council members.
Yeah. There's an agreement that we're going to focus on the new map.
The only other thing I got to say is just make sure each one of us are looking at our rules and start looking at them, because I really would like to do something after this LDC and make sure that we're all in line with them.
Yeah.
Because, we haven't really looked at them. We've talked about them every time since I've been appointed to the Planning Commission, but we've never really done anything until December when we made the change that we talked about for 3 years. And then there was quite a few other things in there that we've all looked at and brought to the table, but we've never done anything on it.
Yeah. I look at it like there's just, at least that's to that very narrow section of the rules. There were changes made, term limits kicked in, and that had a little bit of a domino effect to, the circumstances that led us to where we were, where we amended rules. But there's other things too that I know that we all would like to look at, like I said, in a more comprehensive way. I think we're pretty united on that. So I also look forward to, additional review. Thank you. Anything else before we entertain a motion to adjourn? Is there a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Second? All right, thank you. We want to take a vote by a show of hands? Motion to adjourn. Unanimous? Motion carries. We are adjourned.